Hey everyone, this is Mike and welcome to my walkthrough for Hydaelyn Extreme. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. First attack that she's going to be doing is going to be a raid-wide attack called Hiro's Radiance, so just make sure that everybody is healed up for this, but because it's the beginning of the fight, that should already be the case, so you can just pre-shield for this if you want to do so. Second attack is Shining Saber. This is going to be a group share, so just make sure that everybody is stacked together for this, and of course be healed up from the raid white that came before. Following this we have Crystallized. This has a couple of different variations, I guess you could say. So first variation is going to be water, which is like the particle effects that are going next to the boss. This means healer stacks. So both of the healers are going to be targeted with a group share, so just split into two parties for this. That's the first part of the mechanic. The second part is these crystals over here. If it is red, it means in. If it is green, it means out. If it is blue, it means cross. So you need to go to the intercardinals of the boss. It seems that the first two times that she does this, it's always going to be red into green or green into red. And the other part of the mechanic, the elements that she does, those seem to be fixed, at least for the first phase. So we go in because it was red, and then we go into our healer groups because she did water. After this we have either a raid-wide AoE or a shared tank buster, and in our case we got the shared tank buster first, which is called Mausa's Scorn, so both of our tanks just pop some cooldowns and stack together for this. And then as I mentioned, this can be a raid-wide AoE first. Then we go into Ariel. This can either be Ariel, like we see over here, or Lateral Ariel, which is going to be the reverse. So for normal Ariel, we go to the sides to dodge this. If it was a Lateral Ariel, we go to the front and the back of the boss to dodge this. And you'll see the other version in just a second as well. Second, Crystallized. This one is always going to be ice, which is going to be spread. And then we get the opposite of what we had on the first one. So we're getting green here, which is out. And then everybody spreads out for the ice to come down. And then we go into another Mago's Radiance, so raid-wide AoE, make sure that everybody is healed up from all of the damage that they just took. And then we have another Ariel mechanic. This one is Lateral Ariel, so we go to the front and the back to dodge this. And then we go into our final Crystallized mechanic. This one always seems to be with either the healer stacks, like we get right here with water, but it's also possible to get a group stack. And then we also always have the blue crystals over here. To do blue crystals, you just go to the intercardinals, after which the healer stacks resolve. Now, I did mention that there is a third pattern for this, which instead of getting healer stacks on the final one, it's also possible to get a group stack. And when she does Crystallize, it's going to be showing a Earth Ring instead, like you can see over here. It's also possible to keep melee uptime, by the way, when you're doing this cross stack, but it is quite tight. So if you're unsure about how far you need to be away, then make sure that you take enough distance for that. So after that mechanic goes off, we go into the add phase. Now I do need to mention that the way we're going to be showing this is not the way that you're supposed to be doing this, because my group has enough DPS to just brute force this mechanic. So what needs to happen is 3 of the crystals are going to be glowing. These are either going to be spawning in the north side of the map or the south side. Now in our case, they spawned in the south side. As you can see, this red crystal on the right, the one that we're attacking, and the one on the left, those are all glowing. While that is going on, 2 adds are spawning that need to be picked up by both of the tanks, and they need to be pulled away from the crystals that you are attacking, because they will be tethering to nearby crystals and also to themselves. And when they're tethered to something, they give them a vulnerability down, so it's going to be really hard to kill all these things. Now, the reason why you're supposed to be killing the glowing crystal first is because those boost the enrage bar, the conviction bar that you can see on the right here, a lot. So that's why the glowing crystals need to die first, because they'll give you more time in this add phase. As I mentioned, we just brute force this mechanic because we just have enough DPS for it, but I would not recommend you do this in Party Finder. Just make sure that you kill the glowing crystals first before you move on to the rest of them. And then your tanks, of course, need to make sure that they are on the opposite side of the arena with the 2 bosses to the crystals that the group is attacking. And then in the end, once all the crystals have been killed, you just separate the 2 adds and you kill them like that as well. Also, killing a crystal will deal a massive amount of damage to the 2 adds as well, so by the time that you're done killing the crystals, the adds will be almost dead as well. and then you just move over to the ads, and then you make sure that you kill them before the enrage bar fills up. Then everybody stack together, make sure that everybody is healed up and shielded, because she's going to be doing a high amount of raid-wide damage. At first we thought we needed a limit break for this, because we had LB3 on our first pull, but we didn't actually end up having it over here. So you definitely do not need it. And then we go into phase number 2. First mechanic is going to be Halo. This is a raid-wide AoE, and this will also change the arena slightly, but you don't really have to pay attention too much to that. It's just a signal that light waves are going to be coming. So for the first light wave, we have 3 crystals spawning in the front, in north, northeast and northwest. We also have one spawning in the south, and we also have 2 light waves spawning as well. One middle, one left or right. So which one it spawns is kind of random. So you have to go to the crystal where there is no light wave. Now, when these waves touch the crystals, they will do an attack that needs to be line of sighted. So which is why we're going to be hiding behind the crystals over here. So first crystal goes off, line of sight, move, which I do not do here, so I'm gonna get hit. Second wave goes off. Then after the second wave crashes through the crystal and does the attack, she's going to be jumping to the middle to do Infra-Lateral Arc. This is going to be targeting healers, tanks and DPS. So you need to make sure that you're spread in between the 3 role groups, and also that everybody is hiding behind a crystal to line of sight this middle wave going through the south crystal. So everybody hides behind the crystal, make sure that you're spread into your tank, DPS and healer groups. How you do this is up to you, of course, and then everybody gets cleaved, and then of course we just line of sighted the south crystal exploding as well. Then we get a second light wave. This one is going to spawn a different pattern of crystals. And this will be spawning waves both on the left and the right side of the arena. Now, before anything, you need to make sure you're behind the boss, because she's going to do Hiro's Glory, which is a cleave in front of her. So you start by being at the back of the boss, the cleave goes off. As soon as the cleave goes off, you start line of sighting the first crystal. Again, which of the 2 waves is first, you're gonna have to look for that. In our case, the right one was first. So we stand on the southwest. First crystal goes off, we move. Second crystal goes off, we move through the crystal. Third explosion, and then the fourth explosion. Then a new wave will spawn, which will go through the middle, and the boss will also jump to one of the random corners of the map and do another Hero's Glory. So we have to go stand behind the boss again. So make sure you're behind the boss, and then also again behind the crystal to line of sight the wave hitting the middle crystal. And then we finish off the mechanic with another Halo, which is yet again a raid-wide AoE. We are then going to see a new mechanic, which is Hiro Sundering. This is a tank buster, this one taken solo this time around. And it's also a very big cleave, so make sure that this is pointing away from the group. Another shining Saber, just the same as phase 1, everybody stacked together because this is a group share. So make sure that everybody's also healed up from the previous raid-wide damage. And then we have another crystal mechanic. This one is red, so we go in again. Green is out, blue is intercardinal. And then another Mausa's Scorn, so both tanks stack together and use some cooldowns for this one. We then go into Hydaelyn. The way that we dodge this is we go in between the first 2 sets that spawned, and then we move into the first set once it explodes. Now, together with this, there will also be a Crystallized, which in our case has always been the water stacks. So you need to make sure that both of your healers are stacked together for this. Then, subpar Hydaelyn is going to resolve all of these mechanics. So the way that we did this is we had one of the healers stand at the boss, where we also had our melees. Our second healer was in the back with our ranged. So that's how we have our 2 healer stacks. And then as soon as they go off, we can move into the first explosion. So the first one goes off, we move in, second one, and then the third one. And then we have another Ariel mechanic. This one is Lateral Ariel. So we go front and back to resolve this one. And then we have another crystal mechanic. This one is green, so we are going out. Another Mago's Radiance, which is raid-wide AoE, so make sure that everybody's healed up for this. And then we go into another Crystallized mechanic. This one is always going to be ice, meaning spread, and it's going to go together with another mechanic as well. So Parhelic Circle is going to spawn orbs on the ends of all of these lines. There's always going to be one spot where you can melee uptime this, and then right after they explode, you can just spread out for the spread mechanic of the ice Crystallize. And then we have another Aureolate mechanic, again, Aureole to the sides, Lateral Ariel front and back. And then we have another Colorless Crystal, in our case we had blue, so means intercardinals. And then we go into the final mechanic of the fight. So Radiant Halo, again, raid-wide AoE, make sure that everybody's healed up for this. Gonna change the arena again, so that we're gonna get another set of light waves. And these were kind of similar like they did in normal mode. So they're going to be spawning on a couple of different sides of the arena, one north, one south, and then east and west as well. And then you need to look for the safe spot, where you have the biggest corners to go through. In our case that is going to be C3. Then everybody's gonna stack together for Echoes. This is a multi-hitting raid-wide AoE, so make sure that you have plenty of mitigation for this. Heal up a bit as well. Make sure you dodge any incoming waves if you need to do so. And then we also have a spread and tank stack mechanic. So everybody needs to spread out and our tanks need to stack together. After which we all need to move to the middle because a second set of waves has spawned, which is going through the edges of the arena, which is why we all move towards the middle. We get another Crystallized. In our case this has always been healer stacks. I would imagine it's possible to also get group stack, but we haven't seen that one yet. Which first we get Shining Saber, so everybody stack together. And then after the group stack goes off, we both move into our healer groups afterwards. And then we get another crystal mechanic. In this case it was green, so we move out. And then after this, she's pretty much going to be repeating this final light wave mechanic. So after this, there's not going to be any new mechanics that you're going to be seeing. So that is pretty much going to do it for the fight. So as always, if there are any more questions that you might have about this fight, then feel free to leave them in the comment section down below and I'll definitely get back to you. But for now, that's going to do it for me. So I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my patrons for their support and I'll see you in the next one.